Where there is thought or the activity of the body in any particular environ, this very activity makes for impressions upon the soul. As to the record made by such an activity, these are written upon what is known as time and space. Edward Casey. Thank you for joining us for our 10th episode of Sex, Drugs, and Spirituality, as we dive into understanding sex and the Akashic Record. But before we dive into our main topic, please allow us a moment to introduce ourselves. I'm Jackie of Akashic Energy Healing.
And I'm Elizabeth Maria of Elizabeth Maria Unlimited. And together, we're the hosts of Sex, Drugs, and Spirituality, where we navigate the power of personal growth and self-discovery through exploration and acceptance of our shadow selves. So thank you for joining us all today as we explore the link between sexual matters and the Akashic Record. For this session, Jackie will analyze my Akashic Record to identify any karmic or energetic blockages that may be affecting my perception of sexuality and interpersonal relationships. So first off, let's hear from Jackie about what is the Akashic Record.
Thank you, Elizabeth. And to give you guys a brief description of the Akashic Records, I'd like you to think of it as an energetic database that stores every choice we have ever made. Each soul has its own Akashic Record as part of its fifth dimensional aspects. Since there is no linear time within the fifth dimension, information about every choice the soul has ever made is available within the Akashic Record. The term Akashic comes from the Sanskrit word Akasha, which means ether or sky in Hindi. I'd like you to imagine the record as an energetic information superhighway embedded into the fabric of space-time, almost a golden web of information that you can learn to tap into. And that is kind of the brief introduction I would like to give on the Akashic Record, just so that everybody is coming from the same understanding before we go in. But before we dive into your Akashic Record, Elizabeth, there are a few housekeeping items that I would like to talk about, just so that everybody is in the same awareness. And if you choose to work with me or work with a practitioner to explore your Akashic Record, please know that the only way that I can gain access to your information is through your permission. So there is kind of this unwritten rule, a karmic rule that practitioners agree to when they decide to take on this path, that we will not use the record for nefarious purposes. So it is really important that I gain permission from my clients in order to access this information. Not everybody has the ability for me to read their record. And I, in the business that I do, can only read the record for individuals who are connected to source energy. Not every soul that is incarnated onto this planet has chosen to continue their connection to source. Through our own free will and choice and action, some souls have chosen to disconnect from source energy, and they gain their energy from their surrounding as well as other people. As well as our free will has allowed us to make that choice, we can choose to start to learn to reconnect to source energy. So there are individuals who have come to me in my practice that I am unable to read for, and I let them know that. And it's not that they are bad or negative. It's just their soul has consciously made choices to disconnect from the energy of source. And when I talk about source, what I am talking about is God source energy. So the energy that was omitted at the Big Bang. Some people choose to use the term God or Jesus or higher power. For the purposes of this, I will continue to use the terminology of source energy. Couple other things we want to talk about is karma. Karma is created on two levels and can only be removed through those same levels. First off, we want to talk about fifth dimensional karma. And karma at the fifth dimension is created at the level of thought. This can be easily described as thinking something negative about someone. You will create karma. This is created at the level of thought. But just as easily as you've created that negative thought, you can also remove it at that same level. So meaning you can just send yourself love, cancel out that negative thought, cancel, love you, send myself a little bit of love, and that karmic attachment has now been removed. Third dimensional karma is karma that's created at the level of choice and action in the physical experience. So this would be having a negative thought and choosing to take action on it, such as, hitting somebody or saying something physically harmful to that person. That is created in the physical experience and can only be reshaped through new choices and new action. And really, when we talk about karma and we talk about karma in the third dimension, it's really important to know that the change comes from the level of action. We will then be created a new situation where a scenario will play out again. And it's up to us to recognize that is a cycle and then create a new choice and then the subsequent action that follows. It's important for you guys to know that if you choose to work with me, I am looking for karmic attachments that do come from past lives as well as your current life. And the transformational value of the work that I do comes from labeling those karmic cycles, which allows you to then make new choices that will bring in new karma. And that is really important because it allows you to label cycles of behavior that are continuing to play out in your current physical reality. I am not looking through any past lives to, find out if you were a good person or what status you had or what kind of job you had. I'm really pulling information that is going to benefit you in this life. Anything else is considered curiosity. And I, as I mentioned before, made a karmic agreement with the Akashic Record to only assist my clients in finding out information that is going to benefit this experience that they're having in this lifetime. Sometimes within my work, we come across things and energies that are detrimental to the client. And for the purpose of this session, I am going to label them as positive and negative. I do want everybody to know that there is no positive and negative. We are all experiencing things that every negative thing is actually a positive. So we really want to give it a straight and narrow terminology for this reading, not to cause any confusion. So for the purposes of this session, I am going to use the words positive and negative just so that it really keeps us all on the same page and it doesn't cause additional confusion. So before we get into your reading, Elizabeth, did you have any questions or comments that you wanted to make on anything that we just said? Or
Yes, that was a lot. And I'm just sitting here thinking, did I really agree to have all of my karmic Akashic shown to the world, especially in regard to relationships? But I guess there's a reason we're doing this podcast. Yeah, so a couple things that cross. I'm glad that you explained about what it is that you're looking for, and that it's not, because I was thinking, if this is I can wrap my head around it, thinking of like kind of the quantum field, like that makes me feel comfortable, like when I'm thinking about the Akash, like the vastness of it, but because I was thinking, well, if there, every cough, sneeze, movement that I've made is there. So how do you go in and what are you actually looking for, and how, I'm thinking, like, how do you wade through this kind of karmic or just vibrational soup, if you will, to really pinpoint what it is that that you're looking for. And you explained it very well with like the energetic attachments and like the karmic energetic attachments so these energetic attachments that you're looking for are kind of the cause of some either positive or negative, and just for lack of a better term, cycles that we see occurring in this life that could have been going on for past lives as well, right?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
And for the purposes of today, we really focused on asking the Akashic Record to provide me any information that was causing you challenges within your relationships, because that
Okay.
was our specific intention for this. That does not mean there isn't other instances that might come up, but the record with the intention that it only gives you what you are going to be able to handle right now. So this
Oh,
isn't your full record. It's not your there will probably be other things, and this is the second time we've read for Elizabeth, so there are some things that had continued, and we just want to make sure that we're really focusing on the question that you asked, which is, working through, some challenges that you found yourself having within your relationships, mainly with partners, romantic relationships on this
yes.
sense.
Okay. And so then the other, and I guess it's more of a statement. So I was listening to our friend Brian Scott the other day, and he had a podcast about the Akashic, and he believes that it is actually getting to an evolutionary state where it has become conscious, like the Akashic, itself. And so it was interesting when you said that you asked the Akashic to, reveal or to show, the energetic connections that connect to the issues that I'm having with relationship and this carnation. Do you want to speak on that
Yeah,
theory?
I believe that to be very true. I believe that energy is consciousness. And when I, attuned myself to the frequency of the Akashic Record, I really do feel that I can ask questions and have answers come back as if it is a conscious entity.
Mm-hmm.
So that really speaks to me in a profound way. And I'm glad to see that other people have that same feeling as well, because I do feel like it's a part of me, like an outside source, a higher power, a higher calling that has reached out to me in this sense.
Okay, beautiful. Well, I'm excited. And just, for guys that are listening, I have not learned what Jackie uncovered in my Akash. So I am literally airing my dirty Akashic.
Let's not call it dirty.
My dirty Akashic laundry.
Well, it's going to be
so
fun.
Y'all know out there,
it's definitely going to be fun. And I'm excited to kind of get into it. So if you're ready, Elizabeth,
yes.
we'll start. So because I've done Elizabeth's Akashic Record, I think it was a couple years ago that we first sat down. There are some things she already knows, but I do want to kind of speed through some of the other things that you will get from a reading with me. And as we go through each section, Elizabeth, I'll give you a moment to kind of comment or ask any questions, because as we know, we only hear things at the level that we're ready to interpret them. So you might be hearing some things today about some of the other stuff that we talked about that you have forgotten or that you didn't necessarily hear, or now it just resonates with you on a different level. So as we go through each section, it'll kind of give the listeners an idea of what they can expect from a full reading, as well as give you a chance to, give some feedback on what you're hearing today.
Okay,
so
wonderful.
The first thing we want to talk about is our energy center. And as we talked about last week, we have the 8 main chakras that we work with within our body. And we do pull energy from all of these chakras, but we have a primary energy center that actually pulls in about 50% of our vital source energy. So when we can learn to make choices that align to that energy center, we can really open ourselves up to a real positive influx of vital source energy. This can help clients understand their purpose in life, what they should be doing, what things could be causing them hindrance and challenges. And sometimes you can have a secondary energy center, but in Elizabeth's case, she does just have the one primary energy center, and her energy center is divine power. And that would be your 7th energy center, which is the 7th chakra, the crown chakra. And this energy center is all about doing and being what we want without limitation. Having freedom of choice is extremely important to souls from the 7th energy center. Individuals from this group are very intuitive, even psychic at times. You create your results and manifest very quickly. And this can both be positive and negative aspects to it. When these souls surround themselves with positive people and positivity, they can really bring in some amazing experience into the physical reality. You would learn to embrace change really quickly and have a strong sense of determination. Success comes to these individuals with leadership positions. So you can find seventh energy center individuals being entrepreneurs, course creation, marketing, CEOs. They are really have a love for learning. It's like a lifetime of wanting to learn. Each energy center does come with a negative polarity to it. So the negative polarity to a seventh energy center individual is obligation. So souls from this energy center continuing to do things based on obligation or because they have to will continuously bring lack into their reality. You want to look for, you may feel like you need to look for more responsibility to add to your plate so you can feel like you're continuing to be in control. You might often feel tired being around other people and other energies and become resentful if you continue to do things out of obligation. This is so when we talked about the manifesting things very quickly, this is very true if you're incarnating or around people, negative people, a negative experience. So if you're not with people who have a positive outlook on life, you can continue to manifest negative attachments and experiences. So learning to delegate responsibility where you can and finding a healthy balance in what you're obligated to do and what you want to do are going to be very key for you. And learning not to get attached to one idea. If results don't come quickly, you might need to reshape things and move on without hesitation instead of getting really hard on yourself and trying to force something to work. So that is the quick overview of your energy center. So I'll give you a chance right now to kind of comment on that and give any questions if you have any.
No, I don't have any questions. My comment is that, I mean, 7 has historically been one of my favorite numbers. So I thought that was kind of cool. And definitely, I channel, I mean, I say constantly, like, God source loves my flawed vessel because I can channel source like so easily now. It just comes through and, oh, thank you. I just felt it right then. So that was, and then as soon as you said like kind of the more shadow side of it, doing things out of obligation. And I do remember this from the last time that you read my Akash. And that was something that, like, I mean, honestly, over the last 2 years, I've been walking through and really learning how to, how to, if I am going to do something, I do it for fun and for free, right? And that's instead of like feeling like any type of obligation for it, because you're absolutely right. It kind of puts me in a box. It's like,
Well, and I think it was you who said it. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no, or something like that. That was one of your things, and that stuck with me when you said it, because that really does go into this, is and it like I like to say that there's always things that we're obligated to do. We have family obligations, we have work obligations, societal obligations. So learning to change in our mindset, what can we take out of an obligation? So for me, Christmas always feels like a big obligation, and I'm the one making the dinner and this and that and the other. And it's like, people come and they eat and then they leave. And it's like, oh, okay, I just spent all day cooking for you guys to stay here for an hour. So what can I do, or what can I focus on to get the benefit of that obligation or the positivity out of it? And then spending time with my family, my nieces and nephews. And then I really focus on that as opposed to the part that makes me feel like everybody's taking advantage of, me. And so reshaping some of these obligations would be really, a focus, because we can't get rid of every obligation that we have, but learning to take out what we can and take what we can and leave what doesn't. That kind of phrase comes really important into a situation when you talk about obligation.
Yeah. And I was also, while you were talking, I was thinking of it in terms of relationship, as and romantic relationships, like that, especially I've gone back and forth a lot in my head about, I mean, do I even really want to be a wife? Like that, like even the term itself kind of gives me the heebie jeebies. I had said, like the term helpmate, and I was like, ah.
Well, and is it society that made women feel that we are obligated
Yeah.
to be, we won't be happy without the cookie cutter idea of what a marriage or relationship is? And that in itself comes off as very much like an obligation.
Absolutely. And I mean, I love to cook. And honestly, I love cooking and cleaning, but I never want to do either of those tasks out of obligation. So, yeah, that just in my head. Okay.
Great. Thank you. So we'll move on. And the next thing we like to talk about is our soul origination group. As we are created at the time of the Big Bang, our soul sometimes can incarnate into star systems that are vibrating at the same frequency as our energy. And I'd like to kind of mention, there are 3 common soul groups that we come across the most, which is earthbound souls, souls that have continuously incarnated within the earth and physical plane, souls that come from the angelic realm, and then souls that come from other planetary systems. And we call them, one of the most prominent terms is starseed. And that is where Elizabeth lies. She has, and the way I know this is because she has only incarnated within the physical earth plane for less than 15 years. So what that tells me is that she came here for a mission, and that mission is to be here as a vessel of higher vibrational frequency as the earth expands and increases its own vibration. I like to think of it as the earth putting out a call as it increases its own vibration to other planets and other, planetary systems to attract souls of a higher vibration, because these souls are needed in order to increase the vibration of the people that are incarnated here on earth, or the earthbound souls that have inherently been in this realm for the millennia that they have. Your soul origination group is the Andromeda galaxy. And we like to call these souls mission roamers, because they came to earth with a mission.
A mission roamers?
Yes. Okay. So it really goes to say that you came here as a conscious choice of a soul to remove negativity on this planet. Unfortunately, when this soul group came to the earth, they really had no clear concept of how dense the earth is and all the emotions are. And you may have always felt that you bit off a little bit more than you can chew in this human experience. Naturally, souls from this group are very non-judgmental souls. They don't have very big egos, but they can feel somewhat disconnected from their goals at times. So really practicing healthy egoic desire will be a must. It is okay to want to have things. It's okay to believe that you are worthy of having things. And we're here for a physical experience. So it's important that we are not hiding out on our mountain, just meditating all the time. We really are here to experience all that life has to offer. So this especially is true when it comes to your body and your body image. So it's really important that you develop a healthy view of your body and your sexuality, taking what you learn and making it work for you, not adapting other modalities because they're, the fad. You really have to take pieces from each of those and create and manifest what works for you on this level. So it is really kind of that, take what works, leave what doesn't again, and make it your own, create it. The challenge with these souls is that usually these souls will incarnate with negative souls as family members. And I'll say negative souls as these are souls that are not consciously connected to source energy. So they have very low vibration rates. These can be your family members, close friends. And the point of you incarnating with those type of individuals is to help them reach new levels of consciousness. And this isn't necessarily because you have to do anything. It's because your vibration rate is so high that it almost puts a call out to their higher selves to kind of step up and meet you at your level. Remember that some souls, they negativity really works for them. They feed off the energy of other people. So you really need to learn to shape and reshape your ways of communication with them so that you can meet them at their level without bringing yourself down to that level. And it's really important to remember that it's not your job to change anybody. Your presence will have an effect on them, whether you can see it now or not. And I know that doesn't make all of the challenges that you faced easier, but it does give you a little bit of an awareness as to why you may have gone through such difficult circumstances, especially in your youth. And that is, kind of the brief overview of the soul origination group. So I'll give you a chance now to ask any questions or have any comments on that.
I don't remember this from last time, but maybe just like you said, I wasn't really ready to digest it all when we first talked about this. So it's the Andromedan group. And
Yeah.
I do remember in 2019, like, that was when I first heard the term starseed, and I felt very drawn to, I mean, there's been several groups like the Pleiadians, definitely the Andromedians, and the Lyrians as well. And I think that's just my Leo connection, the lion, because I
Well, and I
definitely.
do want everyone to know that this is just a significant, like, this is where you incarnated first and you spend a specific significant amount of lifetimes on this planet. But our soul is interdimensional and we have traveled to many different planetary systems. So there is very many places that your soul has been. So having connections to other
Right.
starseed groups is very common.
Okay, cool. And and everything that you said about, the characteristics definitely hit home for me. And I mean, the idea of the mission rumors, because I've always felt a little bit like a bit of a nomad. I mean, my entire life, I just traveling. I mean, I've definitely just been someone that just goes. My entire life. And then also the idea, and we talked about this in our last episode about my energy being kind of like a catalyst energy, and I do feel that, I had a friend who's really not a friend anymore say, oh, I can't say that while you're here because I know that it would upset you or something like that. And it's like she felt that she had to act like be like a better version of herself in front of me, but I'm not. I don't judge, and I do meet people. And actually when you said, focus on meeting people where they're at, I was actually thinking that in my head, which is, and like just in the last couple of weeks I've been saying that a lot to myself, like meet people where they're at and love them for where they're at, and without me having to lower my energy to meet.
Exactly.
That is, I think, a huge lesson for me right now is I'm learning to really hold my energy regardless where I am in this material plane, while still being able to be that catalyst energy, but not having to energetically like take in, the lower vibes from the people around me.
It's true. And when you learn to have that awareness and you can meet people at their level, it benefits them more because not everybody is ready to hear things on that grander scale, or they're not going to hear it. It's almost the same. One way that somebody described me is if you wake somebody up by shining a light in their face, they're going to turn their head away. It's too bright. So when you come at them with ideas that they're not ready to process, that's what like their subconscious mind kind of turns away and closes down and really shuts down. So we can, through our awareness, learn to meet people at that level that they're at.
Yes.
With the understanding that we can still be who we are. We don't have to bring ourselves to their vibration in order to meet them there, but we can plant a lot of seeds if we're aware of where they're at, so we can speak to them, in terminology that makes sense to them. And just having that awareness is really powerful place for you to be. And knowing that you don't have to dim your light.
Right.
You can still be the beautiful soul that you are without worrying about these negative cycles and engaging it with them. You can kind of
Mhm.
set that boundary to not allow yourself to go down to that level.
So do you think that this kind of corresponds with, the energy around relationships, or we just need to get to that? But
Yeah, and it really will, because especially when we start talking about relationships, I mean, there is a lot that comes in with the society's expectation of women as well. So those are programs that have been embedded to us too. And we live in these cycles, and we have this idea of what a perfect marriage and family and job, white picket fence, and those are all things that we've been taught since we were children. So
right,
unlearning that and understanding what works for me and what doesn't, and then finding a partner that will actually reciprocate us on that level.
right.
There is challenges in and of itself in that.
Yeah, I was kind of like, I never like dreamed of the white picket fence. Sorry. My family definitely, like, I mean, even now I have members that are like, you just need to find yourself a good professor, Elizabeth, and I go for, I mean, I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to set myself up energetically for no boundaries, but historically, it's definitely been the bad boy, the emotionally unavailable asshole. That has been my historic pick. And
Well, and
so,
sometimes that's a safety net too, right? Because you already know they're emotionally unavailable. So you won't be obligated
uh,
to follow through with what, your family or society deems normal, right?
wow, that's huge. Okay, move on.
Okay. So I want to talk about something that has changed recently. So last time we spoke, you had 6 guides, and 2 of them were playing negative positions within your guide team. Now you have 7 guides, and 1 guide is playing a negative position in your guide team. And this has happened within the last year. So negative guides, as I said, guys, I don't always like to use the term negative, but I will, because it's so clear cut for people who are listening. They come in when we are going through additional challenges in life, and we call them into our guide team in order to help us get through situations that we might need a little bit more support for. So they're not negative in a way that, they're damaging us. They're just assisting us to get through a challenging time within our lives. They have experience in working with whatever situation it is that's in our, that we're going through at that time. So this is not something that we need to remove right now, because you're still processing this experience. So you need that guide there as a support system. I wish I had a better term than negative guide, but I don't. It's it's a challenging. You're going through, a new life experience right now. And I know in the last year, just from knowing you personally, there is some things that you're working through on a personal level with your family and relationships in that sense. And that guide is just there to assist you to kind of put these karmic pieces together and kind of reshape that for yourself. So
Okay.
that's something I did want to mention, because that is a change.
Right. So, and this is, so then you were able to see, I mean, because I see myself having, I mean, access to a lot of different spirit guides, just depending, on what it is that I'm, walking through or whatever. But I do feel that there are certain ones that are with me, like I have some ancestors that are with me pretty much at all times.
Mhm.
And some, other kind of energies. So, and I also, and, your discussion on like the negative positive, I do agree with you that and I think like more negatively oriented energies can be like kind of a catalyst or help,
Mhm.
help you see things that you need to see or whatever. So, I always go in and I thank all of my energies, the positive polarity ones and the negative ones, for showing me the lessons that I need to see, in order to move through this.
Yeah, and our guide team comes in to assist us in making choices. as we continue through our life and we continue to make choices, and we have a lot of choices to make, we'll have a really strong guide team, which is like you have seven guides helping you right now. These are your main support. But as we get older and we, move into retirement and our choices become less, our guide teams will start to drop off. But if we're continuing to make new choices and create new life experiences, we can continue to pull in guides that are going to assist us with that path. So it is kind of like this ever flowing cycle that you can pull in new guides, and you can ask people to be part of your guide team, so you can really be connected to them, and just to know that they are there, they're supporting you. You can call on them when you need you, and they will be there to support and assist you in making choices throughout your journey.
Hey, very cool.
Great. So now we're going to kind of get into the new stuff that we're talking about here as we move into anything that's pulling up from your past life that might be challenging you in your relationships. We are still pulling up with the same scenario that we talked about 2 years ago, and in this one. So you were incarnated as a female about 4 lifetimes ago, and you were forced to marry somebody because your parents had basically told you had to. And this was somebody who was very religious, and you converted to that religion in order to be part of this marriage that you really didn't want to be in. And you worked along your husband, and at some point throughout the marriage, you found out that the religion or the community that you were in was actually using their power for nefarious purposes and stealing money from people. You tried to speak out about this, and you were shamed, and you basically had your children taken away from you. So the effects that this caused on you was a tear at your 4th chakra, holding an energetic attachment of pain, a contract of protection to your children, and an energetic attachment of shame. So these are all the karma that has come with you from this lifetime, from this scenario into this current lifetime. So we want to break down this a little bit. Contracts of protection against your children. Is it the worst thing to have? Probably not. It's not taking up too much energy, but this can challenge you to be this very overprotective kind of mama bear energy. And it won't just go against your children. It could be against anybody that you love, feeling like you need to protect them, that it's your job to protect them, that you need to be, always kind of on guard, worrying about what might happen. And that can really cause a lot of worry in your life. And then a bargain of shame or having that energetic attachment of shame is really going to have you, feeling like your choices might not always be the right ones, that's the energy, shame. So feeling shameful about your actions, feeling shameful about situations that you might have got yourself in, choices that you have made. That's the energy in it. And it really is holding on there. And then the biggest one would be the tarot chakra 4, which is your heart chakra. So feeling like you're deserving of pain. This is going to cause difficulties with self-love, love yourself, love your others. So that is a really big one as we move into your current life, because that is still affecting you right now. And that's the one that we're going to be focusing most on working through and closing up and chatting about that. So before we go into the current life stuff, we might want to break that down a little bit more. How do you feel?
Yes. Well, I'll say that, I've never really been someone that really cared about going down the whole past life, thing. I mean, it's not that I believe or I don't believe in it. It's just, it has never really interested me. But this does, in that looking at the patterns, like when you talked about, that one, she was, or I'm saying she, like I was, this this past energy or whatever, this past carnation, as she was forced in the marriage, that makes perfect sense why, I have so much struggle around just even the term marriage. Like I'm like, in my head, I'm like, I can partner up with someone and I can be that 50-50 partner. And that is ultimately what I, desire in this carnation. But even the term marriage kind of freaks me out energetically. So that makes perfect sense,
And
and
then
that,
if you think about the obligation part too, and
yes,
we had just talked about it, and
yes,
we didn't
yeah,
really disobey our parents back then, right? 4 lifetimes ago, it could be 400 years for all we know. So you
right.
didn't really go against your parents back then.
Right. Yes, absolutely. And then, I was thinking in terms of my business dealings in this lifetime, it has been so important for me to only align with people that I feel, hold the integrity, and that, and I see, and so I have seen, just in some of my dealings, some less than stellar, actions that I've seen businesses take, and I've wanted to walk away from that, because with a quickness,
Mm-hmm.
because of this energy of, so it's just interesting when you said that she was able to see through the cracks. She saw, kind of the negative stuff that was going on, and I'm that way too. I can see, like, when I'm assessing an organization or assessing a business or assessing, it's like I can rise up and I can see all of the, the good, bad, and ugly of an organization. And, so I just thought that was interesting. And then also, definitely, uh, shame has been a huge energy that I have, had to walk through this carnation, and have, had to, work on transmuting and dissipating that energy. And also, and I've known, and even more recently, like in the last 6 months, that I've known that the heart chakra is a huge one for me, that I need to still work on, because I have a hard time opening up on any level to especially with men right now. So I know that I, need work in that area. Mhm.
Okay, great. And then, so the contract of protection, do you feel that in your relationships, you feel, you know, I don't want to use the word obligated, but kind of obligated to protect the people that you're with?
Oh yeah, that one also. Yeah, and I actually even took notes about that one. Yes. I was definitely, I mean, I put my daughter in a little protective, bubble her entire life. And I feel, and I will say that she always says that she had a wonderful childhood. And so I feel like I upgraded in a lot of ways with her. And but I definitely was extremely overprotective. And then also, yeah, I mean, I'm the type of, like, when you were talking about it, I was thinking about, like, the first love of my life, Jason, who's no longer with us, even though, I talked with a medium that says that he is around me. And now I connect with him through, because he was a DJ. Anyways, that's like a side story, but I do connect with, hey Jason, through like techno music and like,
I love
like,
it.
and that. But I was remembering a scene where we were like at a bar, and we got into an argument or something, and I jumped in front of him too, and that's what just came into my head, like, to protect him, and so
Mm.
I do have that energy of, just wanting to protect, and to, take care of. And if I love someone, I love so big, and I'm willing to, jump in front. I will do what I need to do to protect my, my people, which, has put me in some situations that maybe weren't the best, actually, like
Mhm.
that, jumping. And I mean, what, like, when you think about it, it's like, why would I jump in front of, I mean, I guess to protect them. But
Yeah, and it's interesting, and that's what I love about doing sessions for individuals who are on this spiritual path, because they have such a great understanding and awareness of themselves. So when we go through these attachments, they're very quickly able to label how it is affecting them in this life. And sometimes the story can be almost exact to what has is replayed in this current experience. So it's really nice to see that you do have awareness of how these attachments have been hindering your progress in this lifetime. And that's a really important, and it's the best place to start, because there's not a lot you have to work through to get to there yet. You know, some clients we have to really work through and spend hours kind of working through figuring out how that is affecting them. But you were able to really pick up on it right away. And I love that about it. So one thing, we're going to kind of move into your current life. And one thing I want to do is give you a huge congratulations, because there was a tear at your fifth chakra, which is your chakra of communication. That tear has been closed up by you within the last year. So you are now expressing yourself. You are speaking your truth. You have your authenticity, and you have cleared that energetic karmic attachment. And it is huge for someone to be able to do that. And I'm sure, you know, us working through getting our voices out here and heard has had a huge impact on that. I know it wasn't an easy journey to get here. We've had quite the fun challenges as we decided to take this step, but you have done it. Your self-expression, everything is back in alignment in connection to your fifth chakra. So congratulate yourselves. It is not easy. Not a lot of people have done that. So you deserve to give yourself a whole bunch of love for taking that and really owning that. So yay, Elizabeth.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm like, thank you.
You should. It deserves it. It is not easy to label where you are hindering yourself in this sense, especially when it comes to big energy blockages such as tears in your chakra system. And I don't come across a lot of people who have healed their own selves. So it's such a great confirmation of all the work that you have put in to yourself, and you deserve a huge round of applause. Maybe I'll even like put in like a, you know, one of those clapping things when I edit this video.
I love that, because, you know, and thank you. I mean, I just am feeling chills right now, because I have been doing the hard work, you know, and especially around speaking my truth. I mean, I almost feel like, oh, I'm going to get emotional, because, you know, it's been something that has been so huge in my life, and I have dimmed my light for so many years. I kept myself in a little box, you know, and I mean, I spoke my truth, but there's so many layers to it, you know, and so, but I do feel that, you know, that I am settling into just the authentic me. Just, this is it, guys. This is who I am. I am what that's it.
So one thing we want to talk about when it comes to clearing a tear, it becomes a scar. So there is still little bits of residue that is there. So I like to think of it as situations will pop up where somebody is trying to limit your voice or limit your ability to express yourself authentically. And now it's up to you, with your newfound awareness, to label those situations as they come and choose to continue to speak your truth. And you'll notice when they come up, and it could take years before another situation comes up where somebody tries to, you know, bring you down, especially when it comes to communication and self-expression and authenticity. So those are the ones you're going to be watching out for. And when it does, you're going to label it right away, because you have such a profound awareness of your sense of self, and you're going to speak your truth no matter what, because that's the Elizabeth I know. Yay. Okay. Before we get into, there's one last thing that we want to talk about that's popping up, which is independent negative thought forms. Now, these are thought forms that we think about ourselves, and these are directly connected to the negative things we tell ourselves in our head. And these are karmic attachments that are created at the level of thought. So they can be removed at the level of thought, but they are also reattached at the level of thought. So catching ourselves as we say things that are negative about ourselves, or as we say things that, you know, hinder our personal view on ourselves, canceling those out, sending ourselves love, and just releasing it. And the energies of these negative, independent negative thought forms that you have attached onto yourself is chaos, weakness, self-loathing, and penance.
Oh.
So let's talk about something like penance. Penance would be something like you feel like you are deserving of, some of the, and as we were focusing on relationships, so these are really focused to relationships. So believing that relationships need to be chaotic to work. Maybe that's the norm in your life, that the relationships that you've witnessed in your life have always been chaotic, so that seems normal. So we kind of normalize chaos in relationships as being a normal functionality of a healthy relationship, which obviously it's not. But you get so used to your experience with chaotic relationships, your view of other people and their chaotic relationships, we become belief that that's normal. So just reshaping that energy for you, canceling that out, and understanding, maybe even writing down, like, what does a perfect relationship look like to Elizabeth, and giving yourself kind of an outline of what, you see as a healthy relationship. Second one being weakness. So as we think about relationships, how does that word, does it affect you in a certain way? Like, do you feel like,
Are you asking?
Yeah, for you, because chaos to me is something that makes sense. So that was easy for me to speak on. But weakness in a relationship is that, could be men are weak, easily manipulated. So you have this ability to,
opposite
influence it, or opposite. Okay.
It's definitely the opposite. Which is, one of the many anomalies of me. But I am, so strong-willed and vocal in every other area of my life. But in relationship with men, I tend to become pretty submissive, and it's hard for me to speak my truth around men. It's getting a lot easier. And right now I'm not in a relationship with anyone, so it's very easy because I'm not talking to men. But yeah, absolutely. So I would say that, it has, I guess it's just depending on the relationship too. And not to say that, I've had some pretty even, balanced, beautiful relationships throughout my life. I feel I feel like I'm coming out of the shadow portion of, really clearing out the energy around relationships. But really, since I would say, I've, yeah, back and forth, but absolutely, I tend to get more submissive with.
Well, and something that you said in that is that, you sometimes won't speak your truth in relationships. So now when we talk about your healed fifth chakra, this is going to probably manifest itself in that exact way in another relationship that'll come up. And it'll be really important for you, in order to clear the scar and any of those last karmic debris from the healed chakra, especially as it relates to speaking your truth with any future partners that you might have. Because just the fact that you said it was like ding in my head, that's where it's going to come up. That's where it's going to test you. Because we are so aware of our cycles and behaviors, whether we give ourselves enough credit for it or not. But as we continue to talk, we can just see how you put that together there for me. So I had to mention that as well.
Yeah.
So number 3 of the negative attachment that you place upon yourself is self-loathing. So really forgiving yourself for any mistakes that you have made in past relationships. You are not limited based on a past version of yourself that no longer exists anymore. You can choose to redefine yourself and who you are in relationships. I know this is like the best term. Some people like to become born again virgins again, but you are not the old Elizabeth that you once were. You know who you are now. You know what you want, and hopefully you will take the time to write out what, your vision of what a perfect relationship is, or what you want to manifest as a perfect relationship. So you can really start to bring yourself in alignment to that energy. And it's almost like a call out for somebody to rise up and meet you at that level. And then believing that you are deserving of it, because your 4th attachment is penance. And it's like you're believing that you deserve to go through some pain, or you have to go through pain, which is not true. And that's the tear at your 4th chakra, is holding the attachment of pain. So you're not making up for past behaviors anymore, right? We're not owed We don't owe pain because, we screwed up so much in our lives. Like, we're not limited by those beliefs anymore. So really believing that and releasing yourself of these attachments and knowing that you can release them, but you can just as quickly get them back if you choose to continue to believe those type of things. So those are the ones that have popped up, and we are going to go ahead and clear those.
Okay. I'm ready to have them cleared. And, this is, I've gone through I went through years of really, hating myself, hating my body, especially hate, and so the self-loathing, absolutely. I am in a place where, I totally love my body now,
Yep.
but I do feel that, and but it took, over 10 years of therapy and lots of mirror affirmations to get there. But now I feel that it's not about my physical self as much as it is about the experiences that I'm like manifesting. There's still energy of am I worthy, and that type of energy that I'm still working through. And definitely with the penance, I've thought this on and off throughout my whole life. Like, one, did I do something in a past life to cause like all this chaos in this life? And two, because the first love of my life, when I was with him, I was not able to receive the love from him that he had to give me. And I wasn't even able to see it until, honestly, until he had passed. He passed about 10 years ago. And so I felt like, did I miss my chance or something, because I loved him with all my heart, but and I don't ever want to say that someone was broken, but I was so detached from myself at that time that I like his love scared me, you know. So because of that, I just wasn't the best girlfriend,
Yeah.
and then like years later I saw it and I was just like, oh my God, like did I miss my chance through, just not being able to receive at that time? I do know now that no, because there's, great spirit universe isn't there like, okay, this was the one chance I was giving you. And
Yeah. No.
so rest of your life alone and miserable.
Definitely not your one chance. And that's where we kind of want to focus. So I always want to leave a session with my clients as creating an actionable change. And the biggest one we're going to talk about here is the tear at your fourth chakra, because this is where we are going to close up that tear. We're going to fill it up with some God source energy, but this is an active karmic cycle that's playing out right now. And as we mentioned, pain is the energetic attachment, but a tear at the fourth chakra connects to difficulties loving other people. But I think the focus for us should be the difficulties in loving yourself.
Yes.
And feeling that you are worthy and valued and deserving of a loving relationship. So when we say that, I don't like to create the change. I would like you to think, maybe, is there a situation in your life that you see playing out right now that we can incorporate a small change, and then we can start to build off that in the future. But we really want to, we don't start by jumping off the cliff. We start by something small. So this could be with anything, with your mom, with your daughters, with friends, where you might be not giving yourself, or even just the negative self-talk. Like, we could set an intention to change the fact that every time you hear yourself talking bad about yourself, you could do it as simple as sending yourself love. You could do a 5-minute love meditation when you find yourself. It could really be anything, but the importance is it comes from you as to how you can incorporate a little bit more desire to feel love for yourself.
One affirmation that I had started using a couple years ago was love yourself more. And I would, like literally write it out and put it like all over my apartment at the time. Like, love myself more than anything that's out that door, love myself more than what anyone has ever said about me or whatever, or what, love myself more than the independent thought forms that are trying to fuck with me.
I love that. And you know what it is I honestly do feel that once we are in a place where we feel totally loved and valued within ourselves, we will then attract an individual or a partner that can meet us at that level. And we don't need, that person isn't coming in to make us feel whole. They are coming to enhance and contribute to a beautiful life together. And as two whole individuals who love themselves. And I honestly do believe that that would be the case for you as well. So I think that's great to love yourself more. And then, you could do a little Valentine's Day just for Elizabeth. We're doing this. Yeah. We're recording this the week before Valentine's Day. Yes. But, that's a great day to kind of maybe give yourself a little bit of extra love. Like, buy yourself flowers. What's that song? I write my name in the sand. Right. The Miley Cyrus. So you can love yourself better than anybody else can. And it's important that you do that first, because then you can really show somebody else that comes into your life how you need to be loved.
Thank you for that. Thank you. And, I was thinking that this, Sex in the Akashic was right around Valentine's Day. And actually, the first time that I ever got a pedicure was on a Valentine's Day that I was single on. And it was just such a beautiful, so maybe I'll do that this Valentine's.
Yeah, nice pedicure, even like a massage. Oh yeah, that's a good way to show yourself a little bit of self-love. And I know you have an amazing bath ritual, so maybe infusing the bath with certain aromas and stuff that that speaks to you in that sense of love and support. So that's really great. So now we're going to kind of move into the clearing and how the clearing works. So I am a conduit, I guess I would say, to the Akashic Records, and I can set and place an intention for the clearing to happen, but you are the divine creator of your own experience. So none of this clearing can take place unless you want it to. So is it your intention that we clear out these negative thought forms and these karmic attachments that we have discussed here today?
Yes. Clear it out.
It is going to be cleared. I'm going to take the time to do that as soon as we get off this call. And I just want to let you know that clearing energy can have an impact on somebody who is sensitive to energy shifts. So if you're feeling more tired and under the weather, harder to connect to your meditations, or feeling like you're a little disconnected from yourself, that is a possibility. So I know you had already planned to take this weekend as a little bit of a self-rest weekend. So give yourself the time and just know that energy shifts can be felt on a physical level. So don't be too hard on yourself if you're having a little more hard time connecting through your meditations, or you're feeling just drained over the next day or two. Give yourself, like you said, that self-love. It really goes into it, surround yourself with positive things, positive crystals, anything that makes you feel safe and secure is a really good way to kind of combat that energy. Grounding yourself is really great. And grounding, the best way to do it is get your bare feet out on the ground and enjoy, the energy that Mother Gaia has to offer you. I'm going to send you a write-up of everything that we talked about today, along with a piece of homework that you will just help to set our intention, that you'll say these words to yourself for 21 days, just to amplify the intention that we set today for the clearing to take place. And that is kind of a wrap. I'm always open to any questions or concerns that you might have going forward. So please always feel free to reach out. My door is always open to assist in any further questions that might come up that you might have not got out today on the session.
Perfect. Yes, perfect. Right now I'm feeling pretty good with everything, and I am, I'm really excited about this. I'm really excited to, and it's kind of like, in the last episode, you were saying it was like almost like a reminder, but definitely, especially the independent negative thought forms that need to be, released and cleared. It was I know, and I've been knowing that I'm walking through this right now, and it's been coming to me in a lot of different ways, like forgive yourself. So it was, wonderful I guess, not a reminder, but the confirmation, that
I love that.
that I am on the right track, and
you are, and it reads as that as well. So you have done so much work, and you continue to strive to be the best version of yourself. And that in and of itself is such a powerful place to be. You're so special.
So much, Miss Jackie. And I just love working with you. And guys out there, if you're listening, definitely book a session with her. She's like way profesh, and I like just warm fuzzies all through my body, and I feel so empowered after that session too. So just thank you so much.
Oh, that gives me so much value. Thank you, Elizabeth, for allowing us to dive deep into your Akashic record today. As we conclude today, I want to thank you all for joining us as we discussed sex and the Akashic record. Your comments and your perspectives are truly important to us, so please reach out. If you have a question for us to explore on our show, or any other question concerning our podcast, feel free to contact us at sex, drugs, and spirituality podcast@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to contact us about our individual client offerings, please click the link in our description, and be sure to mention that you heard about us on Spotify. And we so look forward to connecting with our spiritual community at 11 p.m. EST every Saturday on Spotify to explore and integrate the shadow side of our reality.
Thanks, friends. Love and light.
Guys, love and light.
Sex, Drugs, and Spirituality Podcast. Elizabeth Maria, Unlimited LLC. And Jackie Lyons of Akashic Energy Healing is not responsible nor liable for any advice, course of treatment, diagnosis, or any other information, services, or products that you obtain through this website.